All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone is having an amazing morning. Just want to do a quick mic check, make sure everyone can hear me okay. I think the volume needs to go up a little more here. All right, there we go.
Morning, Carlos.
Hey, Peter, good morning. How are you today?
I am doing great.
Excellent, excellent. As you guys know, Kurt is with us as a moderator as well. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the pre-market show. Hope everyone on a different side of the chat room, and also Eamon. So welcome to those guys joining the moderator team here at Bareboot Traders. So we're glad to have them. All right, guys. So let's get into it. We got a few watch lists. What stocks from yesterday we had here. So we're gonna go over these on my watch, and then we had some possibles here. I actually didn't have no idea how these traded throughout the day. I actually was only looking at these up here. So we'll go through those, and then we'll look at our gappers list, which is looking a little bit light today. Not much happening here, and then we'll get into our Nasdaq active, Nasdaq gainers, and see what it's going on in that area. And then we'll see how the SPY is doing this morning. So yesterday we had a SGMO. SGMO was one that was pretty active, and actually was a great short. Several possibilities you could have here on a SGMO. Look at this daily chart, just a beautiful drop. It had gapped up. Did push up a little bit, but then it just lost everything throughout the day. So, and we did have shares for sure. So this was a great stock to trade if many of you were able to take advantage of it. So right at the open, you can see this beautiful drop. People taking profits as we kind of expect. Sometimes when you get these huge gaps, people tend to take profits. So a nice drop here. Does find a nice base here on 1233. You can see that clear support right in that area. Then you get a beautiful VWAP reversal back to VWAP, and then some. Right, continues above VWAP. Hitting the high of the day in this 1338 area here that we had. It was a support level somewhat in the pre-market. You can see how that was playing around here. So hits that level, puts in a very nice candle here, and you can, oh, that's too big. Let's get this little size. Okay, puts in this beautiful candle here. You can see it starts selling down towards VWAP. It just blows right by VWAP on this candle, and then becomes a beautiful short for the entire rest of the day. So gets down towards the low of the day. It does consolidate up for a bit around 1233 again. This was the low of the day around that time, and then just continues to lose it for the entire day. So again, it was a beautiful short here if you was able to be patient and wait for that 1030 candle to happen and head down towards some levels here. So that was SGMO yesterday. SYMC was also, it was a little bit more choppy, and again, we expected the stock to be this way because if we remember, we talked about it, how it had gapped up a couple of days ago, and if you notice, the action within this day was very choppy at the open, really didn't move much, and the same thing happened yesterday. Again, it kind of is on a small downtrend, but the moves is not big. You have to wait a really long time to actually get something worth it out of here. So again, did turn out to be a slight downtrend here, but at the open, it's just very difficult to get a good entry here. You have to have a great entry, and then you have to have a lot of patience to wait for this thing to start dropping towards the later part of the afternoon. So again, it just doesn't trade very well, doesn't move much, and we saw that yesterday again. ITCI was one that was very active also. In the pre-market, you can see it had a beautiful drop here. I expected more out of ITCI, but if you look at the open, it was just very choppy. Again, you had this drop here. You had some really indecision candles back to back, and just really didn't move well. So again, very difficult to trade on this one. Again, just no patterns being formed after each candle, so very difficult to find an opportunity on ITCI. AMD was great. AMD had a beautiful drop here. I wasn't watching AMD closely, but look at this beautiful open range breakdown. You get a beautiful pullback all the way up here to VWAP. Good entry, good risk to reward, because now your reward is going to be the low of the day here. And also this moving average, you got to be careful with this one here. And it does a beautiful drop past the moving average towards the low of the day, and then some as well. Look at this level we had, 31.34, comes right to it, and you can see the test right there, and you get a little pushback. Tests it one more time. This time it breaks through it, and then one more time here before it heads right back up to VWAP. So what turned out to be a good VWAP V reversal. But again, these trades are not easy to catch, guys. We talk about this all the time. You got to be very careful. Starts doing higher lows. Here could have been a good entry. Say your stop loss around 31.34. So if it cracks that, most likely it's going to head lower. And then hits to VWAP and then some, right? Almost hitting the high of the day. So AMD traded well at the open. Then after that, it just became a little bit choppy on a slight uptrend, but not much movement out of that after this great move here, this V reversal type open. MU was great. MU was really, really nice. MU had a strong open, and then it had this pullback. It looked like it was going to engulf and probably head lower. This could have faked out a lot of people. I wasn't watching this one closely, but it's able to hold this moving average and then start heading higher and higher. So breaks the high of the day. If you missed this one here, gives you another possible opportunity here, right? It's getting for a long, say your stop loss below the moving averages, and you can see how beautifully this thing just takes off nicely, right? Once it does this move here, it's very difficult to get in because now it's kind of, has 5 good green candles, so that's difficult to chase. But you get a nice little indecision candle here and a nice kind of consolidation period, good for an entry. You can see you get another push out of that as well. Then it comes back down, tests the 9 moving average, and again just goes right back up towards the high of the day. So AMU traded very, very clean yesterday. If you were able to catch a good entry in this area here, you could have taken some good profits out of MU. Let's look at some of our possibles, since we don't have a lot to go through today in the gappers list. Some of our possibles we have was Roku. And actually, I heard a lot of you guys in the chat room talking about Roku. It just kept being really, really strong. And you can see here, just kind of took off right in the moving average, the 9 EMA. Just kind of wrote that up. Tested the 20 here just a bit, but it really just kept the 9 EMA for the entire morning and into the afternoon. So Roku was very strong. Apple, we had it also as a possible. Nice big indecision candle here, and then a huge drop. But again, it's a very tough trade to take because after this candle here, you don't know you can't expect this big drop, especially with the type of day we had yesterday. Heads even lower all the way down to this level here we had, and then we almost getting to that 197.9. That was a daily level we picked off. But then after that, after this drop, this was the move here. You possibly have a VWAP reversal, not as clean, not much volume at that point, and then just becomes getting choppy for the rest of the afternoon. CTST, also another possible we had, did have some moves in the morning. Nice little pop here with some good volume. Then it just kind of hangs around VWAP until it loses it. But I did not have shares for short on this one. I do remember watching this closely for short. Unfortunately, no shares for short for me yesterday. This could have been a nice drop towards the low of the day. Once it comes back up here, we see this move quite often, and it just kind of barely stays above VWAP. Once it loses VWAP, this is a great entry for a short for the loss of VWAP. You set your stop loss at the high point of this wicks. This stock doesn't move much, although it's a lower price. You can take a little more shares because, from here, you're giving it 10 cents or so. So you can take a little more shares to manage your risk properly, your position sizing, and it hits right towards the low of the day. So that turned out to be a great short if you have shares for short for that move. JNPR didn't do much, was very choppy, opened up and then sold off, and then kind of just crawled its way back up towards the high of the day. But again, I was watching this one. This was not clean actually, because this one popped up into our scanners, the turbo breakdown and turbo breakup. But when I tuned into the action, it was not really clean at the time I was looking at it. All right, folks. So that is what we had yesterday. Let's get into some news, Peter. What do we have today? What's happening for the rest of the week? Anything exciting? Any earnings we should be aware about?
Well, it's quiet so far, but we do have a couple of things coming up today. So let's start with the international markets. If I look around the world, international markets and futures are down slightly, which means here in North America, we see the SPY opening down about 0.3%. So I expect that we're going to see a few things gap down with the market. So be careful if you're seeing something gap down by 0.5% to 1%. That could just be sympathy with the market. We are sort of starting earnings season. It's a little early, but PepsiCo is probably the first one, PEP, to be coming out today. So they announced their earnings, and I think they beat their estimates. So we'll see if there's any movement on that. It's not typically a pre-market big mover. And then we do have a couple of things happening today. So as I was told this morning, there will be a speech this morning by the Fed Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. He's speaking in just a couple of minutes before he goes off to face lawmakers in Washington. So that could have the markets a little jittery. And then this afternoon, we do have there's a jobs report that's coming out at 10 o'clock. And then at 1, the U.S. Treasury is releasing $38 billion of 3-year notes. So that auction, sometimes you can see blips in the market. It'll just depend. People are a little skittish because the jobs report was so high last time it came out that nobody's quite sure what's going to be happening. So those are a couple of things to watch for. So I'd say if you're in a trade at 10 or 1 o'clock today, just be aware you could see some weird gyrations. But other than that, no other big news.
All right, excellent, guys. All right, so let's look at our gappers. Let's see what we have going on here. Let's start with the first one, up quite a bit. Let's get rid of all these here. Up 35% looks like at the moment. We'll make some space here. All right, so let's take a look at ACIA. So ACIA up 36.5%, 541,000 shares traded so far. This looks like a buyout from the initial look of it, but do we have any news on this one, Peter, on what's going on?
You're exactly correct. That's a buyout by Cisco. They're paying $70 all cash, so I don't expect a lot of movement in this today.
All right, got it. So that's what that is, guys. Usually when you see this kind of pop here like this, and then the rest is pretty much flat, it usually tends to be a buyout, and this happens to be one. So ACIA, a buyout with Cisco, might not be doing much today. AU is down 2.7, 156,000 shares traded so far. So not crazy volume, but also look at this pre-market action. Just doesn't look great at all. What kind of stock is this? It doesn't look foreign, but the daily chart doesn't look as clean neither. So looks like we had it in our gappers list before, because we do have some levels here. Probably on this day when it had gapped down here, because this is quite a bit here. Probably when it gapped up here as well. So probably on those 2 days it hit our scanners. But right now, looking at the daily, again, just looks very choppy. Doesn't look very clean at all. Action, the pre-market is really not there. Just want to see what it looked like, what it traded on the several days in the past, where it has some gapping up and down. So you do have some trading here, but again, just not as clean. Doesn't move much. From here to here, we're looking at 70 cents. So it doesn't move quite a bit, but we'll see. We'll keep it on here for now. Right now, pre-market action is not doing anything exciting. Only has 156,000 shares traded. A lot of it sitting on this one candle here with 19,000 units, which is technically a block trade, because you see there's no movement out of this. So again, not too excited about that one. Solely was hitting our. Go ahead.
AU is a South African gold miner, Anglo Gold, and the international gold prices are down this morning. So I think it's in sympathy of that, because we have no other news. But you're absolutely right. It doesn't move much, and while we've watched it in the past, I've never seen any good tradable moves out of it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Here we have a MT, guys, is well, actually Solely first. It popped up here. Yeah, here it is. So Solely had a big day yesterday. This did hit our scanners yesterday, so I did see that. We didn't have it in our morning watch list, but in the scanners it did pop up. That's a stock that was moving pretty strong. In the afternoon, you can see here the difference in volume right around 1 o'clock. Not sure if any news broke out, but look at the difference in volume here. Just kind of takes off, right? It was pretty dead in the morning. Then around was that 12:30ish or so, you can see this beautiful pop in volume, and then just takes off here. So today is down 6.8, giving back some of the stuff that gained yesterday. I never traded this stock before, so I'm not sure how it trades. Looks like it has a funky daily chart. What's the float on this one? 13.6. So it is on the lower side, small cap here. Again, so not sure what to think about this one at the moment. We'll throw it down here as a possible. We'll look at it later this morning to see how it reacts. But really, I don't like this way this daily chart looks. And we do not have shares for sure. At least we don't have with CME. So we'll have to figure that part out as well. Let's look at MT. MT, guys, just throwing it on here so you could take a look at it. This is a stock, it's a foreign stock, doesn't trade well at all. Has a very nasty daily chart. So you can see here a lot of gaps. And usually foreign stocks have that type of daily action where there's a lot of gaps, because they're trading throughout, their market opens, and if they're trading in the US, you can see the gap throughout the morning. So again, not really tradable. If you look at some of this intraday action, it barely moves. So a stock that we don't look at. All right, let's look at Nasdaq Active. So we have SLS here, a penny stock, which is always on this list lately. AMRH, also a penny stock. We'll skip that one. TNRX, also on this list quite a bit the last several days, also a penny stock. ALT, what do we have here? Daily looks okay, nothing exciting, but let's see what kind of flow we have here. So 13.9, I'm sorry, 13.39. Let's look at the pre-market action. So it's got some volume. It's got 971,000 shares traded, but a lot of this volume is sitting right in this candle here, 247. So it's really more of a penny stock, guys. Again, it's just barely trading over $2 here. Nothing that I like about this stock. I don't like the pre-market action neither. It has good volume, 973, but that's not creating a good pre-market action like we like to see in these type of stocks, right? If you're trading low flow, you want to see that pop. You want to see that nice flow continuation with some volume. People are getting excited, and the volume is spread out across each candle, creating a beautiful pre-market action. This one here is definitely not it. SINT penny stock, we'll skip that one. ACIA we have, this is the one that's the buyout, so it's got some okay volume. Check. SCHEK also has got some volume here. Looks better than the one we had previously, ALT. So let's see at the moment what we have on the daily. Go ahead.
It's a very low. It's a very low float.
Oh, so what's the float on this?
Only a couple million shares, if I recall.
Oh yeah, 5 million shares. Yeah, that's pretty low. So again, another very low flow stock here. Pre-market action again, just kind of pretty much flat, not doing anything great. It does have some volume, 585,000 shares traded. It is early, so for the low flow team, this could be a possible, right? We can throw this on here as a possible for the low flow team. But right now, let's see if we can get going above this 280, which is the high of the pre-market at the moment. So we'll come back to that one. Let's see TVIX volatility index, so we'll skip that one. Let's look at AMD. AMD's got a low volume for usually how AMD plays out. Only 367,000 shares traded. But I'll watch it today because today's going to be one of those days where I'm going to probably watch MD and MU because there's not much going on, and look for something in the scanners to pop up. So on the NASDAQ gainers, we have a ACIA, which we have is a buy already. We have this one, it's a low float. It looks pretty active. Solo we have traded in the past. Today, not much activity, not much price action. ADMN, not much volume. ALT, again, this one has the volume, but again, the daily and the pre-market action don't look great at all. So we'll skip that one. CLRB, also not looking great. This is also a stock that does not trade well. We have looked at this one in the past. Doesn't trade very clean. Look at this daily too, also how choppy this is. Trades more like a penny stock. Next we have PRVB, also no volume here. Let's go over to AWSM. Nothing exciting there. Neither OASM. This one was active a couple of days ago. Yeah, you can see it had this beautiful pop here. But again, just look at the pre-market action now. It's just not looking great. No volume at the moment. AAOI, horrible pre-market action. And that's the last one on this list. Peter, what do you have? And then we'll go into the chat room and see what everybody else is looking at as well.
The only two that I have that you haven't mentioned is, well, there's Deutsche Bank, which, as we mentioned, doesn't trade well, but it's continuing to get bad news as people are concerned over their ability to execute on their turnaround plans. It was interesting to me that Citigroup came out and said that their profit targets are highly improbable, was the quote, which seems like a self-serving comment because it benefits them if Deutsche Bank drops. But, you know, so I'll keep an eye on it, but I don't really expect an opportunity. And the other one is IPOA. I just like that it's got an interesting story. It's got 2.6 million shares traded so far this morning. Richard Branson came out and said that by the end of, is it next year, I think, that they're going to be going public with Virgin Galactic, which is their interstellar flight, you know, basically their space program. And IPOA is going to be a 49%. It's a private equity firm which is going to own 49% of the released company. So they've jumped up on that news, and it might be interesting to see if there's any movement on it during the day.
Yeah, this could be interesting. Right now, 2.7 million shares traded so far, is up 2.8. Has gone as high as 1255 here. Now trading around the 1070 range. What is the float on this bad boy today? 69. All right, cool. This could be interesting to watch. I'll throw this on here, see what comes out of it. Daily chart just kind of funky though. Pretty flat. Doesn't move much throughout the day. Looks like. But with that type of news, definitely will be interesting to see what we can get out of this. All right, let's get into the chats. Let's see what we have. So let's start over here. Let me scroll up. Oh, you guys are very active today. I like it. Love it, love it. Especially on a day like today where we could use your help. SQ. Let's look at SQ. So let's start over here. SQ is it's got some volume, 87, trying to crack 100. Not much going on right now. Opening up pretty flat. Do we have any news on SQ that's going to make this interesting today? Jay says it should be on the scanners. Well, it will only be on the scanners if it was up or down 2% or more. So right now it's only up almost half or 8%. And then also it's got to have 100,000 shares traded to pop up into this scanner here. So this is the reason why it's not there. So it's pretty flat at the moment. But we can throw it on here. We can throw it on here. We'll come back to it, see if it gets any better throughout the day. What do we have next? PEP. So Kurt is giving us PEP here. This one is the one we talked about earlier. Yes, it is losing some volume. You can see this here on this 1 minute chart. It's kind of getting pretty flat right now. But it'll be interesting to watch. It's a big company. So we'll see what comes out of it. Also, I agree with the comment by Mr. B here. A lot of it's going to be waiting on Jerome Powell to talk, right? So we usually know when those days come, the market tends to be pretty flat until they hear exactly what's happening. Then everything goes haywire after that, right? So be careful if you're in a trade around that time. All right, we have MMM. What do we have here? MMM right now, not great volume, but I see what you're looking at, Kurt. This daily chart looks interesting too. Has a nice drop here of 1.8. If it can get the volume, it could be nice. You also have some good levels here. We have this one all the way down here. You can mark it. Price action is sitting right at a level right now. This could be interesting. I like the way it looks. I know, guys, it has no volume. Pre-market action's barely there. Barely anything going on. But if we can get something out of this, the daily looks nice. I do like the way the daily looks. And on these type of days, if this thing can pop into our scanners, it could be a good possible. OSTK, let's take a look at that. OSTK, see what we have here. OSTK has a really nice daily chart. It's been strong over the last couple of days, weeks actually, right? Started around this area here, making higher highs, higher lows, and then just kind of taking off, doing some healthy pullbacks to this moving average back up, consolidating again. It just kind of keeps pushing higher and higher. So today's in an interesting position. It can consolidate again. I doubt you're going to get a huge move out of this, but anything is possible, right? If anybody's sitting here short and it goes over this moving average and this 1750, it can squeeze some people nicely here because you got a very nice resistance coming up here that was resistant a couple of months ago in April. You can see the several days banging their heads here trying to get above that. They couldn't. So we're almost at that point again, basically bouncing off this moving average right in here, right? What's that, 200? Yep, 200. So this could be interesting. Has an interesting daily chart. I do like OSTK. We'll throw it on here. It needs more volume though. Definitely needs more volume. Slightly up right now, so we'll keep it on there just to see. That's a good possible this morning. What else we have? Snap. Let's go back. Actually, let's look at Teba. Teba first. So Teba here is daily chart looks interesting. It's got a couple of red days it has been putting in here. It's got some volume. Teva doesn't trade too clean for me though. It's been situations where Teva has not traded clean. Let's see what it did yesterday. Yesterday looked like it had a really nice clean day though. Beautiful pop here, couldn't hold, and it just sells down real nasty here past the VWAP. Just continues to pass the previous the low of the day. So yesterday was really nice. I don't know if this hit our scanners, but man, this was a good trade yesterday. If somebody was watching this, good opportunity. So today, right now, volume is there, 266,000 shares traded, but all seem to be just small block trades. Not really anything exciting on the. Oh, wait a second, I'm looking at the wrong 5 minute. Hold on, there we go. So yeah, still nothing exciting though on the Teva 5 minute candle, the pre-market action right now. It does got some volume, 266. If it gets under 2, it will pop up into our scanners. We could throw it on here for a possible. I do like the daily though. It's had a couple of red days on here. We have a level that the price action is sitting right on. This 897. If we can break out of that 866, could be a possible. That'll be the next level. So Teva is interesting. Don't worry, guys. We're going to make this list a little smaller. We'll pick the best out of the stuff we have here as much as possible. Let's look at Cisco today. So Cisco is involved with the buyout with ACIA, and at the moment they're pretty flat, only down 1%. So not bad. Let's get rid of some of these levels here. So only down 1.1. Not much volume being traded at the moment. So again, not sure what to expect out of this one. And then the daily doesn't look great neither. So daily looks pretty much choppy at the moment. Let's scroll down. What else do we have, guys? Okay, I see NMFC. Whoa, that's a nice drop here. The daily looks funky though. Daily looks very, very funky. Something about this daily chart looks doesn't look too clean. But I see what you're looking at, Marique. This is down quite a bit based on the daily chart, right? Not percentage-wise, but on the daily chart, this is a big drop, right? Usually just chops around here. It's right at this area of a moving average. You also got a possible support area here that already has cracked. So the daily does look interesting in that sense. Does got some volume. You also have another, right? This support is right in here also. So yeah, this does look interesting. But it's got to get more volume too, right? Kind of like everything else we have here. It's got to get, well, not more volume, a better pre-market activity. Right now it's looking pretty flat, but it is a NYSE stock. Usually NYSE stocks tend to not have great pre-market activity. So we'll have to see how this opens up. We'll throw it on here. We'll come back to it as a possible. It doesn't look great right now, like a lot of the stocks we have here. We'll just have to pick the best out of the worst if that's a thing we can do here today. Let's look at Apple. What is Apple doing today? So Apple is pretty much flat right now. Daily chart, again, it's just been pretty flat, kind of like the market's just kind of flat. So again, not much going on. I don't expect much out of Apple today until this conversation happens with the Fed. I think this is one of those stocks that's just gonna wait before anything happens. Next, what do we have? We have MU.
Might be Roku, just to take a look, just because yesterday Roku was a big climber pretty much all day, and I'll be interested to see what happens today. Could be a mover.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll look at that one next. And so MU here, MU's daily seems like it wants to go higher, but again, it's just the way this thing's been traded. Had a great big day yesterday, had a nice green day yesterday. Today could have some continuation. But that depends if the market can help it as well. You have a nice level you can reach to here around 42, a little lower, probably 40, 41, 70 or so, whatever that number is. So again, it looks good on the daily right now. Not great pre-market activity, but this is normal for MU. MU can have the worst pre-market action and put in probably one of the best days ever. So that's normal for MU. Yep, no, Marika, I agree. It does. NMFC does have 594,000 shares. The volume is there. What I don't see on it right now is a good pre-market action, but again, it is a NYSE stock, so it could have this type of pre-market action, still put in a great day, kind of like MU, right? So I'm not familiar with this stock, so I don't know how it trades throughout the days, but I do like the daily chart. I do like the way the daily set up right now, sitting right on this moving average, and it can go either way here. Can it drop or head higher? So depending on what we get out of it. So that's why I have it on here. Again, it doesn't look great on the pre-market action side, right? The activity doesn't look great, but the volume is definitely there, and the daily looks interesting. So I'll keep it on here, and then we'll see how we can make that decision to keep that one or not later on. All right, we got quite a bit, guys. A lot of it here is not looking great. Alex, yes, I know. MMM doesn't have great volume at all, but what I like about this one is the daily, right? It's sitting right on this level here. So again, during this type of market conditions where things are not moving great, you don't get all three trifectas, right? You usually don't get the great daily chart, the great pre-market action, and the great volume, right? That's the three things that we mainly look for, right? We want to see the volume here nicely above 100,000. We want to see, the next thing we want to see is the pre-market action trading nice and clean, right? Sometimes you have the volume, you can be trading 600,000 shares and have a horrible pre-market action, right? So that's one thing that happens a lot. And then the next thing we want to see, number three, is you want to have a nice daily chart because it helps you find good levels, right? This is a good level, great level here, another great area of support right here. And you can possibly even in this area here, right? So that helps a lot. But in these type of market conditions, you usually don't get all three. So we'll pick the best that can give us the best possible opportunities. And like Peter mentioned earlier, eyes on scanners, right? It'll be that type of day where something in the scanners that we might not have can take off. All right, so we have quite a bit coming up on 9 a.m. Eastern time. Peter, what do we have for announcements before we get into finding support and resistance?
Yeah, we'll just quickly go over our announcements for this morning. So first I'll just start with, for anybody, especially on YouTube, if you wanted to consider joining us as a lifetime member, or if you're in the room on just a short-term basis and you like what you hear, we still have our sale on for the Independence Day sale. So it's a last opportunity to save 30% on our lifetime memberships. Just use the code INDEPENDENCE. So if you use that, you can get 30% off both our lifetime memberships, either with or without the DAS simulator. In terms of speaking events, just a reminder that we have our Wednesday workshops. This Wednesday, I'll be presenting trade sizing. That'll be in the classroom. So look forward to talking to everybody tomorrow on trade sizing. It's interactive, so bring your questions. We'll have a good discussion about how to appropriately do that. I'd like to hear your thoughts about how you manage your trade size to mitigate risk. We also then have upcoming later this month on the 26th, as we keep mentioning, Dr. Brett Steenbarger will be talking with us here in the room, so you can post your questions in the forum, and we will, make sure that we get them to him so he can come back with some great answers to help us out. He is one of the foremost experts in trading psychology, and you absolutely should put that on your calendar so that you can attend. In our regular training, I will just mention that we do have our training classes that continue through the summer, despite the fact that it is a holiday season. Our lifetime members have a webinar coming up on this Thursday, the 11th. That is at 8 o'clock Eastern or 5 o'clock Pacific. Again, that one is in our lifetime members room, but that webinar is always good to just ask questions and interact with some of our team to get your questions answered. So again, that's on the 11th, on this Thursday. And last but not least, I thought I had one more. I don't think I do.
No.
The only thing, other thing,
you have a TNT Tuesday today, right? So we have reviews today. Trade review.
Oh well. Absolutely. Thank you. See, I knew there was something else going on. So, right, Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have our trade review with William A. Dog. It's very popular, guys, and it's great. So if you haven't attended one, please do. If you've never submitted charts, consider doing so. It's a great opportunity to get a different set of eyes and analysis on your charts. We always learn something. I'm always amazed, even the stuff that I'm picking up from William and from our members, frankly, and how they trade and what they saw on the charts. So that's we do that on Tuesday and Thursday afternoons, as I mentioned. That'll be at 3 o'clock Eastern, so 3 o'clock market time, right here in the room. And I said it's actually a very, very good session. We record them, by the way, so you can watch them if you can't attend. But if you can, be here live so you can sort of ask your own questions. All right, so that's it for announcements.
All right, excellent. Yeah, guys, so definitely check that out today at 3. Again, we learn a lot from all these recaps, so we always encourage people, if you have a good trade, we want to see your thought process on how you trade, because everybody trades the market so different. So send your recaps in so we can look at them and share them with the rest of the community. That's what it's all about, seeing how other people trade, and we learn from them a lot. We learn from a lot of the people that do recaps on how they're trading and approaching the markets. All right, guys, we have a lot here. Let's go through it. Let's get rid of some of these ones that look weak, that don't look great. ACIA, guys, is a buyout, so I'm going to remove this one from the list at the moment. So we'll take this one out. AU right now has a horrible pre-market action, has 162,000 shares traded, but again, the pre-market action doesn't look great. Daily looks a little funky as well. It looks like we have looked at it in the past. We have some levels already on here. I'm just going to remove these. But again, I'm not seeing anything that I like on here when it comes to the daily and also the actual pre-market action. So I'm just going to skip this one. Actually, what we could do is, let's get some levels for it. We'll remove it off our list. If it hits our turbo breakdown, turbo breakup scanners, we're already set to go and we have it ready. Right, so we have 1757 low of the pre-market, 18 on the dot, high of the pre-market. Above that, I like 18 too. You can see it being tested here. Above that, you have the previous day close and the high from yesterday, so that's excellent. Towards the bottom, you got the low of yesterday, and you also have this moving average coming in slightly above the low of the pre-market, so you can mark it if you like, but since it's so close to the low of the pre-market, I'm not going to. And then towards the bottom, you can possibly have this one over here at 1723. I'll tell you why I like this one in a second. So several things. You have this day bouncing off of it as a resistance, this one as support, and then you have this day closing right on it, right? So you got several days that are closing right around this area, 1723. So if we lose this 57, that could be a possible area. Look, based on this daily chart, this stock doesn't move much, so this is why I'm not going to keep it here. Also, the daily chart looks a little choppy within this area here, and the pre-market action is not looking great. But just in case it wants to surprise us, we're ready to go with our levels. AMD AMD has a, let me get rid of some of these levels, has a okay daily chart, right? It's kind of been bouncing back a bit here. It had a point of resistance yesterday that it broke out of, just slightly getting above this previous day close area yesterday. So today we'll see what it does. We have high of the pre-market sitting at around 31.93. I'm not going to mark the low because the low is basically at the point of the highs from 2 days ago. You have a moving average also towards the bottom in here as well. Let's see what else we can find here. I think that's plenty of levels for AMD. I'm going to do one more towards the top just in case we decide to break out today. We have one around 3250-ish, right? 3250. So we have here, here, and here all being resistance around that 3250. I don't think you need to mark any more on AMD. So right now volume is all as usual great, 409,000 shares traded so far. Pre-market action not looking good at all, so we'll see if we can get something out of that. DB, guys, I'm gonna remove this one. I mean, it just doesn't trade well for me personally. Hasn't traded well the few times I touched it. Just to be prepared, low of the pre-market 716, high of the pre-market sitting right around some moving averages as well, so that's interesting. 740 is your high of the pre-market. Towards the bottom, if we lose this 716, let's get a good level. This is a foreign stock, so this is why it's harder to find daily levels, because everything's all over the place, gapping up and down. I'm gonna mark this one here, 7 on the dot, 703 in that area. You got a day here which is kind of touches it and bounces right back down, but overall this is not a great daily chart. Towards the top, you got the low from yesterday, and then your previous day close. So you got plenty of levels towards the top that you can keep to trade off. I'm gonna remove it, guys. Again, it's got some volume, 319, but not creating a good pre-market action. Also not a great stock that doesn't move much neither. It reminds me of a Bank of America, or probably even worse. I think Bank of America actually trades a little bit better than that one does. APOA, this is one that has some news today. As you can see, it's already very active. 4.8 million shares traded so far. We have the high of the pre-market sitting at 1255. The low is already being marked by several highs and lows right around 1040. This stock doesn't move much on a regular basis, right? ATR is very low, 6%. I mean, 6 cents is the ATR over the last 14 days. Today is actually doing a lot more than that with some really good volume. So it'll be interesting to see what it does. I don't expect anything crazy out of here today, but you know, we'll see what kind of activity we get out of it today. SQ at the moment just barely cracking 100,000. We're stuck within a nice area of consolidation in here. As you can see, you have some resistance a couple of days ago, and this 730 is really a nice area of support over a couple of weeks. So it's kind of in the middle. Don't know what's gonna do here, guys. It can go either way. It can try to crack this this resistance up here or head lower. You also got a moving average in this area. But again, guys, I'm not seeing anything too exciting on SQ right now. We can wait for this one to hit our scanners if we get something out of it, but I'm gonna remove it for my personal list. PEP is the only big one doing earnings today, right? Is that correct? Eli, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, cool. Eli, I'm showing my screen. So refresh if you cannot see it. You should be able to see my screen. So PEP here, Pepsi, high of the pre-market 134.67. Above this we have 135.22, and then what do we have towards anything above that? Or are we all-time high on Pepsi? I think we are an all-time high. Yep. Yes, we are. All right, so all-time high, very close to it. So at 135.22, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but this looks like all-time high there, so that's good too. Stuck within some ranges right now, highs and lows of the pre-market. The daily hasn't been clean over the last couple of days. You can see how choppy it's been. Look at all these red candles, and not really moving anywhere. It's just kind of chopping around. And towards the bottom, you got plenty of levels. Previous day close, you have highs and lows listed at around 132, 131.50. And then you have this drop all the way down here. I'm going to mark this one down in case we decide to take a dive here. This 130.82 is a good area of support. It was resistance within these days over here. Finally broke out of it, came back down, tested it one more time, tested it here, and then back up. So that could be a nice area of support there. Right now, pre-market action is not looking great. Volume's got to get going. It started off well, and it's just kind of died down. So we'll see what if it picks up later in the morning. MMM, again, just I like the daily, but there's really other than that, there's really no other reason for me to watch this stock today. It doesn't have great volume, doesn't have a good pre-market action, but I am going to be ready for it because the daily I do like a lot. I do like the daily quite a bit. So low of the pre-market 166.15. Then we have another possible level right around this area here, a little lower, 162.47, and then a very clean one down here at 159.43. So we'll see what we get out of that. High of the pre-market sitting at 167.80. Above that, you have all the highs and lows from the last 2 days, plus the previous day close right in here. So plenty of levels there. I'm going to make a decision on this one a little later on. It is a nicey stock, so maybe the volume is not checking in just yet. But I do like the way the daily is set up on this one. OSTK had a couple of strong days. We talked about it before. Let's remove some of these levels, get some fresh ones. So high of the pre-market, kind of already tested and went above this moving average we have here. 1730 is the high of the pre-market. Low of the pre-market sitting at 1607. Then in between the price action, low of the pre-market, you have the highs and the previous day close almost in the same area from yesterday. And below that, I think you have some really good levels. Look at the highs from 2 days ago, right? The last two trading day right on here at 15 or roughly slightly above it, and also the lows from the last 2 days down here. You also have a moving average coming in here in this area. So plenty of levels there, guys. If we can get above this high of the pre-market and that moving average that's slightly on it, let's get the next best level going back into April of this year. I think this area here, yeah, I like this level here around 1865. The reason I like this level, hold on, 1865, you have a resistance here. You also have it as support in this area as well. So again, that's a great level to have in case we can break out of this 1731. Also look out for 18. As we know, whole dollars and these type of stocks can create some resistance. So look out for that $18 mark as well. Teva, well, Teva put in a nice little candle here. So 329,000 units traded right now. Pre-market action still not looking great. Daily does look interesting though, because it has a nice downtrend coming in here, kind of going right through these moving averages and support. So I do like that. We have a level at 866. High of the pre-market is right at the previous day close. Below this 866, you have several days just kind of testing this 820 here. We do have shares for short, so this could be a good possible short opportunity if it continues on this beautiful downtrend that's building over the last couple of days. So we'll be on the lookout for that. So I'll keep that one for now. Pre-market action not looking great, but a lot of the stuff we have doesn't look too great today. NMF doesn't have a great pre-market action. Wow, more volume coming in here. 843,000 shares traded now, but you can see a lot of it sitting right on here. 178 on this trade that trade that didn't do much. But what I like about this one is the daily, right? We talked about the daily, how it's sitting on some levels here. So we'll mark it just in case we can get something out of it. 1350 is a very clean level. Look how it becomes resistance, then support, and it's bounced right from that just a couple of minutes ago. 1350. Above that, high of the pre-market sitting right at 1365. So we'll mark that down, 1365. And then slightly above that, you got a very nice level here at 1381. You can see several days banging their head on this level before they break out. And you can see on this drop here, you kind of lose the momentum around this area as well, respecting that previous area of resistance. So plenty of levels here. I'm going to remove it now. If it hits our scanners, we're ready to go with some levels on NMFC. So let's remove that one there. Let's look at MU. MU's got an okay daily chart given the type of condition we're in with the market. So we have a level clearly all the way up here at 41.69. It looks like it came down, kind of consolidated pretty flat here. Had a big day yesterday. We can possibly get some continuation today if we can get the volume towards the upside. And that if we can break out of the high from yesterday at 41.69 could be a good area. Look out for this $41 mark as well. As we know, that could show some area of resistance in that range. And actually, I'm going to mark that down because we do have a level over here at 41.06. Look at this day right on here, 41.06. I'm going to mark that down because I expect that if we do head north, we are going to have some type of resistance around that $41 mark. Solely, last two here, Solely. Yeah, I'm on the fence on Solely. Not sure what to expect. So I'm not going to watch this one, guys. I'm going to get rid of this one. And check also, it's got some great volume, but this is not trading well. It's not a good clean pre-market action for me, so I'm going to remove it as well from my list. So just to recap, we have AMD, IPAO, we have Pepsi here, we have MMM, OSTK, Teva, and MU, guys. Not the greatest list. Brian is going to be coming on in a few minutes, and then Andrew's going to come on after that. I'm going to see what those guys are watching and adjust my list accordingly if there's anything else that looks better than what we have. Just quickly, let's look at NIO. NIO, it's been strong with the last couple of days. The issue I have with NIO that it doesn't trade very well. The few times I have touched it, it hasn't traded well. Yes, it's putting in a nice little, like a double bottom on the daily here, and it's kind of popping nicely here, and it's kind of leaving this area where we have some resistance, or at least where it dropped pretty nicely from. So it's right at that area right now. But again, for me, this stock just does not trade very well. I do not have shares for short, so I just tend to avoid it. There's some stocks that you're just not good at. You're just not good the way their price action is, and you just gotta accept that and find something else. That's NIO for me. But does not mean that you cannot trade it. If you see something that you like on it, definitely put it on your list. BYND is another one that's very difficult to trade. But I can see here on the daily looks interesting. You have a possible area here at 168.29, possible profit target if it heads higher. And of course, you have 185 and all the way up here 202. So again, the last couple of days has been really choppy. It's kind of finding a support within this moving average like it did a couple of weeks ago. So it's kind of supporting here. So we'll see. We'll see what it does here. But again, this is one of those stocks also has a very high ATR. So be very careful. Might be lower now since it's been chopping around. The ATR might be a lot lower these days. BYND. Yeah, there you go. It's $12. This thing was at $21, $25 a couple of days ago. So it's kind of coming down a bit. Still a lot, so be very careful how you trade BYND this morning if you decide to go for that. SQ, we did look at SQ. This could be a possible. Didn't have much going on. It does have 103,000 shares traded so far, but it's been pretty choppy here. If it can break out of this high here, it can possibly be a good opportunity. But right now, again, just the volume is very light and the pre-market activity is not looking great. All right, guys, on YouTube, thank you for joining us. Andrew's going to come on now and go over his list, and then we'll finalize our list from there. Thank you, and trade safe.
All right, good morning, Carlos. Good morning,